Monday and we have survived. Listen, it's been a storm these last few days, but God has been good to us. It is Monday and we are in the chat box right now. My name is Jabrina Speaks, and I'm super excited to be in the chat box on this beautiful Monday night. Listen, you guys, we were trying to figure out we were gonna make it through last week Wednesday, y'all. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right in. Last week Wednesday, I was at work until 10:30 with students in aftercare. Right. And so I am grateful. Listen, I think I got a little PTSD after the rain last week, because when it started raining today, I was like, no, Jesus, please don't let it rain again. But how many of you know that the rain is showering blessings upon us? And so when we can weather through the storm, when we can get through the storm, we know that there's a rainbow at the end of the tunnel. And so today I saw the rainbow. I put it in my story. And so it is Monday. It is a blessing to be alive, y'all. It is a blessing to be alive. Y'all don't understand how excited I am. And you were in the storm in Fort Lauderdale, Dania, Hollywood, any of those areas, then you know exactly what I am talking about. I'm sure when you saw the rain coming down today, you were like, wait a minute, hold on, Lord. You know, Shanteria, did you feel my pain, sis? Did you feel
I didn't feel it. I felt it.
And so it is Monday. We're in the chat box. My name is Jabrina Speaks, and I am your host on tonight. And it is such a blessing to have this amazing woman of God in the building with me on tonight. It is a blessing because we met physically, I believe, for the first time back in March, but we have been Facebook social media friends, I believe, quite some time. And so how many of you know that God is the one that ordains the right connections? How many of you know that God will make sure you're supposed to meet the people that you're supposed to meet in your lifetime? And so this amazing woman of God, mother, wife, mentor, entrepreneur, we met at my She Connects Inc. Sisterhood denim and dinner event. And so let me tell y'all, this woman is everything that she posts, P-O-S-T, on. So, because you know, they say people post what they not, you know, they not really what they post. But this woman of God, it is exactly what she posts. And so she is God's masterpiece. And so I welcome in the chat box with me on this beautiful Monday night, Miss Shanteria Moment. And so, Shantaria's in the chat box with me. And it is a blessing to have this amazing woman of God. So how are you on today, Miss Shanteria?
Listen, I'm like you. I'm grateful. Okay, I had a little anxiety with the rain earlier, but I am thankful. I am blessed, and I am definitely, like I said, I'm grateful to be here, to just share this time with you guys. I've been seeing the interviews and things that you do, so I'm like, okay, So when I was like, okay, this, like you said, God ordained. So I'm definitely blessed, and I'm excited for what God's going to do tonight.
Listen, I want to tell you thank you up front, because sometimes it get real good and I don't get my thank yous right out. So I thank you early just in case. And so if you're joining us on tonight, go ahead and hit that share button, because I believe that God has a word in the vessel that's going to be speaking on tonight. And so if you don't know what this is Let's Talk Business. And so this is for any entrepreneur. This is for anyone that's pregnant with possibilities of opening up a business. And so tonight, this amazing entrepreneur, this go-getter, this God's masterpiece, is going to share her information about her business on tonight. And so, Shanteria, tell the people a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, I'm gonna try to not leave anything out. Okay. But then so I'll come back to it. But yes, first and foremost, I am a disciple. I am a wife. I am a mother. And I am, just an overall all around woman of God. Mm-hmm. But on the business aspect of it, I am a mentor. I have a mentorship program. It's called Masterpiece Academy. And then basically what I do within that is I have a group of young ladies, but it's not limited to young ladies. However, I just feel pulled to the youth, but I do have a lot of adults that do reach out to me and say, hey, they reach out and we talk and we chat and we minister to each other and things of that such. So I didn't put a cap on it because you never know what God is going to do. But with Masterpiece Academy, basically I've gathered a group of girls, and what we do is I discuss things with them, kind of like entrepreneurship. I Each young lady, I make sure I connect with them, find out their needs, their wants, or their hobbies, what it is. And I believe you mentioned it earlier, I've made enough connections to say, for an example, I have one young lady and she wants to start a t-shirt business. So I make it my business to once we build that connection, she and I make sure, hey, I have a sister, I have a friend, I have someone that can assist you with basically starting a t-shirt business, because hey, I can't do it all. So I've kind of she connects type thing, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of reached out to someone that can help her, and that's kind of like the page that we're on. So I try to do that with each and every young lady, because I feel like we don't pour into our youth enough. We have the women's conference, we have even sometimes the men's conference, or we have the singles ministry, and we have all of this, but I feel like we're forgetting the next generation.
The youth.
So with that, that's the whole purpose of Masterpiece Academy. And the main thing is to show them their identity. Like, I feel like in our youth, they're so caught up in social media and the world, with what the world tells them. And let's just be honest, everybody doesn't have a 2-parent household, so sometimes mom or even dad or both are working nonstop. So it's like, okay, who's home to teach them and tell them, hey, this is who you are? They're left with the TV, they're left with what is it, classmates and things that they're talking to that aren't getting that at home. So they're left with whatever everyone else tells them, except a child of God, honestly. So I try to teach them their identity. I try to teach them self-esteem, because we're dealing with depression on a whole nother level with our youth. So I try to teach them, hey, let's deal with identity first as to who you are. And then we're going to go dive into your self-esteem. What do you feel like is your weakness, and why? Or why you have low self-esteem in this area? And it's not just myself. It's a few young ladies that I've reached out to. I'm in my 30s, so I even went a little bit younger than myself, because I believe we're able, with our youth, they're able to connect with something that they feel like, hey, I can relate to this person. Sometimes they may look at me and say, Miss Shanteria, you're too old to try to, what I'm saying? But I do have some young women that are Christ, Holy Spirit filled, that I know that will not, lead them astray, that assist me in that area. Because like I said, I started as low as 7. And but I break them down into age groups, because you can't have the same conversation with all of them.
Absolutely.
Right. So from 7 to 12, from 13 to 15, and then it's 16 on up.
I love it. I love it. And so listen, I'm glad to know that, because we can definitely partner. This is why God got this whole connection. Because with my organization, and so I always look for sisterhood organizations for my young girls to get with. So we'll talk about that wait on another episode outside of here. And so I know that's one of your things that you do, but you do. I saw you venturing out in the bridal world area.
Yes. So I also do. I have an event planning company, and it's called Elegant and Eventful Moments. And basically, it started when I got married in 2021. Well, I had my wedding in 2021, and I was like, okay, wait, I had fun planning my wedding. Some people say like, okay, it was a horrible experience and they were stressed out. You have those moments, but I actually fell in love with the whole wedding planning process. And then after my wedding, a few people reached out and they were like, oh, I'm coming to you to plan my wedding. You hear those comments. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I didn't take it seriously. And then maybe about a month later, like 2 people reached out in the same week. I'm like, wait a minute, God, like, hold on, what you doing here? So I just kept brushing it off. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So the following week, someone reached out. I said, okay, if one more person asked me, sure enough, the next day, someone asked, I'm like, okay, let's just go for it.
Come on, Lord.
So I was like, listen, let's just go for it. And since I did my first wedding the following year, which was in 2022, and then I kind of I had an amazing couple. They were very, I was nervous because it's like, okay, will they like what I do? You know what I'm saying? But I honestly, God put me in a mindset of just trusting the fact that they trust you. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Stop second guessing yourself and stop saying, okay, will they like this? And he was like, if they came to you, then they see something that they like.
Okay, I'm on pause there.
Hmm.
Just in case we have, because see, I'm somebody that catch little things when people are talking.
Hmm.
And so just in case that somebody is wondering, because a lot of times in the entrepreneurial world or the business world, especially starting out or being around for quite some time, sometimes you either lack confidence or don't have any confidence when you start, or you had a lot of confidence, but then you saw down, your business downing or downsizing, and so you lose the confidence. But you said something so profound at that moment. If they contacted you, then you shouldn't have to second guess what God has told you to do. Obviously, He is reminding you by having someone even contact you to say, hey, Miss Moment, I need your assistance with this. And then you said something earlier about not putting a cap on your age or with the girls. Like, okay, this is what you work with, but you're willing to work with whoever God sends you. And so that's just a reminder to somebody that though we have our plans, and yes, God will sometimes grant them, but
Hmm.
He knows the plans He has for us. And so you might have only been thinking possibly mentoring at the time for girls, but not realizing that this mentoring ship has carried over to the eventful and the elegancy of bridal planning. So you're still doing exactly the purpose God has for you, but then now He's actually has given you even a next level of exactly what you're doing. And so I caught that when you was.
Yeah, so that, like I said, that has been going great. But what I've learned with that is, believe it or not, somebody asked me recently, would I turn down a job or would I turn down a couple? And I said yes. And they were like, why, if you're just starting? And my thing is this: if you would, before I started this, this company, I already had a vision for it and I already had a brand of what I wanted out of it. So there's certain things and certain gigs or certain jobs, or let's be honest, money that just won't fit where I'm taking my business.
Mm.
So to me, it's like, yeah, you may lose out on some money, but it's like, man, to me, I think about the way I look at things. When I go and I'm trying to book somebody for services, yes, I go look at their page. I go look at, I look at the overall branding of the company. Not saying if they're just not saying, okay, they got to have, they have to look like they spend so much money. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the consistency, and you know what I'm saying, the way they carry their brand. You don't have to have spent a whole bunch of money in order to determine that. So for me, I just, yes, I would, because some stuff is just like a no for me. That's like, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't accept every speaking engagement. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, no, it's not that no, none of us have arrived, but it's just like everything isn't for me, and I'm okay with that. I have a mindset of where I'm going. If a no can't, if I receive a no, then it wasn't where I was supposed to go. If I'm in
Absolutely.
alignment with God, I'm good.
Absolutely.
So with that, I always say with the wedding planning business, I just completed another wedding in March of this year, and I have another one in July. But I don't bombard myself. Thank you. I try not to bombard myself with one each. Like, hey, let's take one. Being that I know, hey, you want to pace yourself, because you're talking about somebody's wedding. You're not talking about, hey, just, and I don't mean to say like a party is less than a wedding, but you're talking about somebody's wedding, like a one and done, hopefully a one and done for them
Right.
wedding day. So it's like, no, you don't want to play with that. So that's some advice as well, that you don't want to overwhelm yourself when you first get into something. Don't get me wrong. If there's an overflow of business, take it. But
Mhm.
you also want to pace yourself as well. So
I
with the wedding planning, I try to space it out if I can. And I thank God for it. I've been able to, have those breaks, if whether it's a few months in between. So
Mhm.
that gives me time to get myself back together, and then now focus on, the next couple and what they, their vision and what they have for their wedding.
I love it. I love it. My next question I have for you. So you answered it kind of with the how you got started with your wedding planning and things like that. But how did you get started with the academy?
Okay, with the academy, that branched off from my ministry, which is I broke it down because it was the name was From Broken Pieces to a Masterpiece.
Mm,
Right. And it started because literally I was just reading my word.
mhm.
And I'm a little extra, you know, I'm a girly girl. So I was just reading and I'm like, man.
Nothing wrong with being extra.
So
Extra
I
is
saw where
good.
it's like, man, I'm in Ephesians and I'm just reading. And
Mhm.
it was like, man, you know, when you come across that verse and it says, wait, you are God's, like you're his, you know, you're his masterpiece. I'm like, wait a minute. Now that
Mhm.
sounds, you know, I take the word, hey, it's for me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is for me. So I kind of took that verse and I began to, believe it or not, study it. And I
Mhm.
began to look up the word masterpiece. I'm like, man, this say a craftsman's best work and this and that. And I'm like, oh shucks, you know. So slowly I just began to as I would post on social media, I put I am God's masterpiece.
Mhm.
And it just became a hashtag of mine. And then one day I just was, you know, just studying in my alone time, and God was like, have you really sat, you know, and really pondered on what I gave you? And what
Mhm.
God began to give me, it went from from God's masterpiece to from broken pieces to a masterpiece.
Mhm.
Because I was a person where that was broken, like
Mhm.
broken on another level. And
Mhm.
God began to show me, like, don't be ashamed to share those broken pieces, because
Mhm.
without that broken piece, you know, it's like a puzzle. Without, I don't care if that piece is bent, if it's, you know, a little piece, if that piece
Mhm.
is not in that puzzle is still incomplete. So
Right.
God began to really, really ponder, like, hey, listen, I need you to understand that I'm going to take every broken piece from your past and I'm going to
Mhm.
put you together, and you're going to be my masterpiece. And he kind of gave me a vision for it. You know, like I said, sidebar, I also have a heart of hope. Pray for me, okay? This is why I need you, okay?
Listen,
A heart of hope comes
you
from, you know,
you talking, and I'm like, this how I sound when I be talking to people.
that's why I said, listen, pray for me, okay? But a heart of
But
hope, basically.
God has equipped you for every assignment He
Listen,
has
I
ordained
receive
over
it,
your
sis. I
life.
receive
And
that.
so, even when the natural begins to sometimes feel faint, that's why we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Amen.
So man doesn't strengthen us; Christ does. When a lot of people ask, "How do you do what you're doing?" Knowing you've been broken, knowing you are weak, knowing you are kind of, I'm gonna just say, dysfunctional, you can say, because God is my strength. And so
Yeah.
with his strength, I can do all things. But I'm listening, I'm like, oh, yes, girl. Hallelujah.
Listen, so I'm like, Lord, how we gonna do all this? But you know, it's the funny thing is, God is like, I just need your yes. You know
Mhm.
what I need your
Oh,
yes, but I
stop. Sorry.
go ahead.
Because you just said, honey, a mouthful right there.
Mm-hmm.
All God need is your what?
My yes.
Mm. And then when you gave him the yes.
Yeah, it began to flow. He
Mm.
needs our yes and not and a no to our procrastination, because that was a struggle for me. The
Mm.
procrastination was a struggle for me,
Mm.
um, and it went back to what I said in the beginning, as far as the can I do this? You know what I'm saying? Still looking at um still knowing where I came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, can you, and I know we hear it, it's cliche, but God, can you really use me? And
Mm.
it wasn't until like I really got to a place and God was like, hey, it's me and you. Let's do this. We're gonna hash it out. It got ugly. I cried. I screamed, I kicked. But when I came out of that season, I was literally free. And what God told me is to, hey, the boldness you had in the world, I'm not taking that away from you. I'm
Mhm.
not taking that away from you. I need you to have that same mindset when
Mhm.
it comes to every assignment that I've given you.
Mm.
So that has worked for me. And that's for somebody as well, because some people feel like we have to, we know we're not supposed to conform to the world, but some people feel like we have to conform to even people in the body.
Mm.
As far as like, okay, Jabrina has all this going on. I want to know, you know what I'm saying? That's not what I called you. I called you guys to connect. But what if you're trying to be just like her? Then what is the point of you two connecting? That's just like a double. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So I think we have to understand. And when I understood that, I said, okay, well, God, you know what? You're absolutely right, because you can. He wasn't wrong anyway, right? I had to be wrong. So I was like, you know what? I don't want, and I've never and not to be, I've never had that issue. I never wanted to beat anyone else. I thank God for that.
Yeah.
But God did show me that, like, we do have that issue even within the body, that, hey, we feel as though I have to speak like this sister. I have to pray like this sister. I have to have the amount of, I have to do the amount of bookings and things like that. And for me, that's not me. And
No.
and we all have different callings. And it's like, okay, you know what? If I'm in this lane and you're in this lane and I'm trying to get in your lane, I'm gonna cause a collision. I'm gonna cause an accident because I'm now out of my lane. So if I'm just, because you, God can have you doing 80, and Shanteria, you stay over here in the 40. What is it, 40, 60, whatever? That's your lane right now. You stay over there. But if I get in your lane doing 40 and you doing 80,
Right.
I've just caused a whole accident, because that's not what's supposed to take place. So I
And
always,
in due time and in due season, he will allow the lanes to cross.
listen, because
He
there's a time to slow down,
right.
and there's a time to pull back, and I believe there's a time to go full throttle.
Because the one that's doing 80 may end up doing 40, and the one that's doing 40 may be getting the 80. But now both of them are in a lane they never been in. But now when they've connected, your 40 can tell their story and your 80 can tell their story. So now they understand each other's lane. Yeah, you may be doing 40 like I did 40, but your 40 may be a little different, sis. But I can still tell you what happened in my 40. So if you end up, when you get to the 40 and you end up getting on that road I was on, then I'm able to say, you know what? This is how I got through the 40 when I was in my 40. And the 80 can say the same thing, but you got to know when God tells you to cross the lane. That's when you need to put that blanket on to go cross. Not anything before. Because if you don't put it on, honey, that's a revelation. I feel it in the spirit. Because if you don't put that blanket on, like you said, you will cause a collision. You will cause people to start blowing at you because you're 40. You done switched over to the 80.
Yeah, and you about to get
You
ran all over.
frustrated and mad.
You
Now
about to get
you wondering like, why they driving so fast on the road? I don't understand what they rushing for. But you came over in that lane.
in their lane, and you're not up to speed, and that doesn't make you any less. And
It doesn't, because as long as your car keep moving, that's
the
all.
destination, we can make it to the same destination.
Listen, and even if you got to stop and get your tires changed and your oil changed and your light bulbs fixed and all of the above, then you, because listen, in all of it, you still gonna have to get that maintenance done.
Listen.
So it may be a time that you say, no, you know what?
Let me take this exit, get some gas, get a little maintenance, and
Get
get
the
back on
gas.
95. Okay. Listen, and let me get back
catch
on.
that later. You will catch it later.
They will.
And you're gonna be like, you know what? I'm doing 40 and I'm okay. Because as long as the car don't stop.
Listen.
As long as the car doesn't stop. But I'm gonna give y'all a better way. Even if the car stops, you make sure you got somebody that you can call that will pick you up when you're
listen. There you go.
When you're stranded.
There you go.
When you don't know what you and don't get me wrong, we definitely got to call on the Lord. But the Lord has left vessels on the earth to make sure you can call somebody in the time of your struggle, in the time of your car breaking down, for you to say, you know what? I was doing 40, but I forgot to get my oil change.
Listen.
I was doing 40, but I forgot to get my windshield wipers changed. I was doing 40 and my brakes went out. But then you're able to call somebody and say, you know what, sis? I was doing 40, but now my car done stopped. Is there any way you could pick a sister up and give her a ride?
Listen. That's a whole word. Yeah, I thought you used that was a preaching sermon. It's necessary.
I got it, because somebody, we need all of that. Because again, you said it. I might be doing 40 and you might be doing 80, and we're going to the same destination.
Right.
But you can't cross over in an 80 if you're doing 40, and the 80 can't. You got to cut that blanket on when God says it's time to get over.
You gotta do it at His speed, not before and not after. And you have to be okay with that. And that's why I love that's what I love about what you do, because you have to understand there aren't we have these ministries and these women, you know, groups, and they say that that's what they stand for. And there's no shade towards anybody. But
Mhm.
in reality, I love, like, cause you don't even know this, and I didn't tell you this, but I went to Blanchili to speak. And I
Mhm.
sat by another young lady, and she was like, "Man, those She Connects lady over there." She was like, "They amazing organization. You
Mhm.
were not there, but there were so many women there, and they represented." She was like, "They're so amazing, and they're this and that." And I was
Wow.
like, "I've heard of them." You know what I'm saying? And believe it or not, when I got on my way, a few of them go to my church. You know,
Wow.
so yeah, but I never knew that until I
I didn't know that either.
Yes, I didn't know that until I saw them there. But
Wow.
and I just was saying, like, man, it's amazing to see women, because that particular event I had to call off work. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay,
Right,
for the
right,
young
right.
girl. But to see women there and pouring into the youth, I'm like, man, they didn't find that robbery. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to have, that's one of the things that I'm learning in ministry. Um, not just ministry, but on this side, you know what I'm saying, of being
Mhm.
in the body, is learning to have the importance of a team.
Yes.
That's not a struggle for me. I don't want to, God correct me, I'm not weird, but I'm a person that um I forgive people, but I like myself, and not in an arrogant way or a cocky way or anything like that. It's just like I'm one of those people that if I'm home, TV,
You know
food,
what? I feel you because I
I
do a lot of things. I've done a lot of things on my own. Like there's no real team. Like my mom, if I call her, I'm like, "Mommy, I need you to do X, Y, and Z." But so far as like the team meeting, there is no team meeting. It's just me, and I'm like, okay. Then I call whoever I need to call,
yeah.
and so I understand your struggle because you understand the importance of your brand, like you said.
Mhm.
You understand the importance of the calling God has given you. And so you take it not arrogant, like you said, but you understand how important this baby is.
Yeah.
And so I can't just be like, oh,
Let
okay,
anybody hold your baby.
no, 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 no. And I'm grateful now that God is allowing me to trust people to
Hmm.
do things. My first, not mind you, I've been doing events for royalty will be 13 years old at the end of this week. 13 years old
Oh wow.
that I started my organization and just different things that I've done. I think this is the first February was the first event. I'm talking about between She Connects, Inc., Royalty, Jabrina Speaks, all that I do. I'm talking about in from the time I started Royalty.
Oh,
February this year was the first event for She Connects Inc. Now, mind you, again, I've been doing events, so I'm
yeah.
putting all of my things together. The first event, I did not decorate myself and was not in there trying to tell people what to do.
Listen.
In
And
13 years.
and let's be honest, you were having anxiety.
Listen, and I still went there. They was like, if you don't leave, I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
trying.
it's
I'm
yeah.
trying.
Yeah.
And
It's
but that's been my prayer. I'm like,
hmm.
God, you're taking me to a place I can't be everywhere trying to get everything done.
You
And
can't.
God is saying, trust me. I'm going to show you these people, and I need you to trust me
Yeah.
that you can trust them. So I understand what you're saying about that because,
Yeah.
again, royalty will be 13 years old. Shout out to my babies, 13 years
Yeah.
old, for 21st. And this is the first February this year. And I was like this the whole time, like, okay, okay, I'm gonna leave y'all. I'm gonna leave. And I left and I felt good leaving. But that's
Okay.
my prayer. So it's a struggle. I know your struggle, and I'm
Yeah.
praying for you too.
Yeah. A team is necessary, man. Like
It is.
so that's where I'm at, and I'm in this season where God is kind of like pulled me back a little bit, because I realized, like I said, I don't accept every speaking engagement, because I that's just, I just feel like, every you got to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? And I
Because if
personally
you
felt like,
speak at it, you co-sign it.
I listen. I personally believe that I had got to a place where it was like coming left and right. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, and I'm like, God, that was my prayer. I'm like, don't ever let me be too busy but non-effective.
Come on.
And it wasn't that I wasn't, because when you feel with the word, let's be honest, it can just come out. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I'm like, God, let me eat this word and digest it before I go and try to give it to somebody else, or before I try to minister to somebody else.
Mhm.
So for me, like in this season, God is like, because like I said, with everything, remember, we haven't touched the personal styling business or the other nonprofit. This is just my life right now, right? So,
Mhm.
and I became overwhelmed. And God is like, retreat for a minute. Let's do this. So I literally had to go and buy. And sometimes I'm a vision. I have to see it. So
Mhm.
although I can have a little notepad, which my notepad is full, but I had to go out and I purchased a 3-ring binder for each business.
Mm.
Because it was more so like, okay, what's the phone number I have for this one? What's the business address? So I was like, no, no, no. Go get you some 3-ring binders. You're gonna
Mhm.
put the each business name in front. The first
Mhm.
cover page is gonna have all the, the basic information, the EIN numbers. When it's time to do your look, we gotta do our annual. When it's time to do that, you're searching for, and God is like, no, this is just, and it was just everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I became overwhelmed because I'm like, God, you put so much in my hands. One, I feel behind because of procrastination, not because of what God didn't do, but because I procrastinated. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. I'm with you. We in this together. We in this together. So I'm like, and I began to feel overwhelmed. And God told me, if you move when I tell you to move, then and you move at the pace that I tell you to, because and when I look at it, He gave me all these things years apart.
Mhm.
Nothing was right on top of each other. And although if even if He did, He's still able to sustain me. But the
Mhm.
point that I'm making is because God knows me, He's my creator. He knows, okay, she's gonna need a break. The time frame that He gave me, He's like, you had enough to establish this business, get it up and running. I did provide you with some people, but because you feel as though you want to go third degree with these people, and God showed me, like one may just have the gift of just being organized.
Mhm.
I have one sister. If I say, "Hey, we're doing prayer at 10 o'clock," 9:59.59 seconds, my phone is ringing, and
Mm.
I'm like, "Sis, wait a minute," God, but that's
But
just
she's
how.
keeping you accountable.
And not just
God
keep that.
answered your prayer.
And listen, that's the type of, and I'm just using prayer as an example, but she
Mhm.
really is. She keeps things in order, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and
That's
I'm not gonna. I love her to death, but I'm like, God, this is and God's like, no, no, no. That's why it's aggravating you, because it's the opposite of what you are. You need her in your circle, and I was like, okay, So I'm in this place where I'm like, God, I'm all ears. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to pour out, you have to just listen, because He knows what we need. If it's a vision that He's given us, let Him provide us with the circle that we need, and not
amen.
give it the third degree. Like we
I
can
listen.
afford to.
You listen, I promise you, I feel like I'm listening to me right now. I'm like, you know what? He did give me those things separate
Hmm.
timing. Like I didn't get everything
Yeah,
back. And though people look at it like, oh my God, you're doing a lot, but it was his timing of when
yeah.
he dropped those babies. And so listen, guys, we're super excited to have you in the chat box with myself. I am your host, Jabrina Speaks, and I have the amazing Miss Shanteria Moment sharing her knowledge on Let's Talk Business. This amazing woman of God is I'm gonna just call her a serial entrepreneur, because she has more than one business that she is handling. And so it is a blessing to have a woman of God in the building with me, in the chat box with me, sharing her story. And so I pray that you're getting something out of this on tonight. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful when we get the responses that we're getting. And so I'm grateful on tonight that Miss Moment can share her story with us. She has a mentoring program for girls. She does. I know you said event, but I'm gonna just say the whole bridal world. Listen, y'all.
Yes.
Y'all get married. Y'all want to get married. Y'all got an idea about getting married. Connect with this sister. She didn't say, but I remember. I think it's probably how we connected a long time ago. Even I don't even know, but you do braids and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
At one time you did.
No, no, that's still, yeah. That
Okay. So she's a plat guru. I do know that.
yeah. And then I do personal styling as far as
Right.
fashion.
So I mean, I know, because let me tell y'all something. Every time I see her, she
That,
dressed to the
that
gods. And
that's my little
so
passion there. I love
right, listen, there's so many, and it's a blessing, like I mentioned earlier when we first got on. God will make sure you connect with the right people at the right time. And so if you think we met a long time ago, we have
no.
not. Our first time meeting was this year, a month ago, March was last month, it's April, yeah, a
Yeah.
month ago, probably literally a month ago, yeah, because it was March 8th, I
The
believe,
beginning of March.
the beginning of March,
Yeah.
and so somebody said fashion gives life, absolutely.
Listen, yes.
People too. And so that's the way God had it set up. I will never forget. I inboxed you, and we connected that way. And then you,
But that was years ago though. That's the crazy. Remember that
yeah,
was
because I think once we look back at it, we was like,
that came from. I have to share this so they get this understanding.
okay,
That came from. I started like we didn't get there yet, but I started a Heart of Hope.
mm-hmm.
And that was for to help young ladies to help and to prevent them from having abortions.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really big on not just telling them not to have abortions. It's like, how are you going to help me? So I
Mm-hmm.
started an organization, basically to just I want to provide diapers for them. I wanted to provide mentorship, counseling, but not just for the mothers, because sometimes we just throw the dads away because they can be a young couple, and the dad can very well be in the picture. So I wanted it to where we're able to bring the dads in, counsel them and just kind of get them on the same page. Whatever we had to do to prevent them from having an abortion. And like I said, when God gave me that, I was like, God, this is gonna be a hard one. I'm gonna have to fight the world anybody on this one. I'm like, and I've been going through it, but God is like, you better go. And I was like, okay. But I started that and I didn't know where to, and I pray that this touches someone. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how, I didn't know anything about a nonprofit, but I knew for a fact that God told me that I had to take a stand on that. And I always, nothing that I boast and brag about, but just to put it out there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody that has had multiple.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just proof that God can use what you used to do. He can use it for your good.
Come on.
So, he told me, and I was like, okay, I thought I'm fine. I'll go to the abortion clinics. I'll sit on the corner and I'll minister, do things like that. And to my knowledge, I was able to say, no, sorry. To my knowledge, God has been able, through me, we've been able to save three babies that we know of. And I was okay with that. I'm being honest. I was like, okay, God, we're good. And God was like,
We
no,
did it right.
God is like, no, it's bigger than that. And I don't know when, but God's like, you're gonna have a building. You know what I'm saying? And there's gonna be women young girls that you're gonna help. So I was like, okay, cool. I started that, and I was like, God, I don't know what to do. I know nothing about a nonprofit, and I didn't even know you and I were friends on Facebook, but I did a live just basically saying, hey, I started this nonprofit. This is what it does. I don't know where I'm going from here, but God just told me to put this out there for accountability. And you inboxed me.
I
And you
did.
was like, yo, I've been doing this for years. If you need any help. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I told you I procrastinate. I started that and it's like, okay, I still minister, but I'm like, I didn't go full throttle like I should.
Mm-hmm.
So that was about 3 years ago. Come back around to today and I started the mentorship program. And I'm like, man. I'm like, every time I see this young lady page, I'm like, Jabrina's, I said, she has the mentorship. She does this. And I'm sitting talking with a friend of mine. I'm like, I want to ask her so bad, like if she's willing to help me. I'm like, I'm paying for services. I said, I just want somebody with the knowledge. And she was like, well, why don't you ask her? I was like, man, people are so mean nowadays. And I'm like, and I said, God still delivering me in a lot of areas. I'm like, I said, I don't know if I'm ready. I said, because people have, I said, and it's
They
sad, but
do.
it's
They
true.
do. They are.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm like, when, especially if somebody say, okay, you're doing something similar to what I'm doing. I'm like, they don't want to really give you the information that you need. I'm like, but I know I need this information. And she was like, just ask her. And I was like, I'm not going to ask her. And then she reminded me, she's like, ask her. And I'm like, nah, my pride is just like, because if she turned me down, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be a little sour for a little bit. God going to spank me, but then I'm going to come out of it. And
I
then
would never do that.
and then you end up reaching out about your other event. And as I'm scrolling up, I'm like, man, look at God. You know what I'm saying? So I share all that to tell, even somebody that's watching, if I believe, not that I believe, I don't only believe, but I know God do give us people. He does supply our needs. And some people, when we say that, we thinking only financially, or only, but no, God has provided a circle. God's like, I know what you need. And not only that, not just somebody with the knowledge, but she's somebody that's Holy Ghost filled. You know what I'm saying? That has a heart for this type of stuff. So I said that because I didn't want to leave that out without because I don't know who's watching. Sometimes we feel as though we can't go to that other sister. But I personally,
Y'all can come to me. I'm real. Listen, y'all. If
I'm
anybody
listening.
knows me, and like you said, when I see people, my heart, like you said, I'm a servant first.
Yeah.
And so when I started my organization, I had an older my mom, one of my mom's best friends. She went home to be with the Lord, but she made sure I had everything I needed.
Wow.
I didn't have to do a lot of asking, and so when I see a lot of people, it aggravates me.
Yeah.
So I be like, just call me. It's
Yeah.
things that I see people charge for, and I'm like, there's no fee for that. It's free. Like a EIN number is free. Why are you charging to show somebody how to do it? Just get them the website and let them get on. And so it's just, I'm grateful because, like I said, God has a way
Yeah.
of turning it back around, and so you don't ever have to worry about me turning you away. Oh, you listen, once after this, we're gonna get everything that you
I'm
need.
just here from the outside looking in out because I
But
wanted to
right,
share
because
that with somebody because
a lot
yeah.
of people look at it like that, and not to me. I'm just saying
Yeah,
overall.
yeah,
But a lot of
overall, yeah.
people be like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Girl, just inbox me. Don't ever feel because I know there was somebody that once helped me, and
Mm,
so if it's a way that I can help, I might can't give you everything, but
right.
what I do know that I can give you, believe me, I'm going to help you get there. Now it's up to you after that. But
Yeah.
until then, like I let's say I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink now.
Listen.
And don't come. This is a disclaimer. Don't come wasting my time either. Not you, because I know
No,
you.
no, it's for
But
me.
if I am willing to pour into,
Yeah.
I need you to make sure that your cup is ready
Yeah.
so we can get it going. Because
You
if
have to have a made up mind. You definitely
you
have to
have
have a
to,
made up
you have
mind.
to, you have to,
And
you
if
have
it's
to.
not, it's not yeah, you have to have a made up mind.
And
And
so that's why that's why I said like God has a way to bringing us back together because now that you say that, that was a few years ago.
yeah, that
And
was literally a few years
so,
ago.
but God knew, and
Yeah.
God knew. He said, "You won't do it, but I'll make sure she inbox you next time."
Listen, I was like, okay. And even for your that event you had, I'm like, oh, I was so tired. I'm like, God, this is a whole group of girls. I'm like, I'm not going. And God was like, but and I'm big on that. God, if I have a conviction, like when I say yes to something, God is like, I stand by that. Let your yes be yes and your nay be nay.
Oh,
And I'm
yes,
like, but I told her I was coming. It's not. I'm like, God, it's gonna be a whole bunch of women. I'm like, I'm used to just being in the house. And God is like, but you told her yes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going. And I got up and even in that, like when I walk, I sat in the parking lot for about 15, 20 minutes procrastinating. I'm like, I'm going home. And
listen,
I'm like,
you're not the only one. People do that, and then once they get ready to go, they be like, "I wasn't gonna even." Come."
listen, I said it was far. I'm like, okay, it's in Fort Lauderdale, this far. I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's not. The address just said, I'm like, this is literally the next exit of her. So guys, like, you're without excuse. Like, and I came in and it was everything like the timing that I came in was perfect. It was everything that I needed. You know what I'm saying? So even in that, like I said, sometimes you have to push past our flesh to get really what our spirit needs. You know what I'm saying? So even in it, and like you got to learn to just. I'm in that place. I'm like, okay, God. Like I said, let you lead me, but then my flesh is like, I don't want to go. I'm tired. I don't. I'm trying to step out
We
the
we
house.
gonna preach their head off, but that's another word right there. I caught it in the spirit. Be asking God for stuff, and your flesh say no, and you know the spirit
Okay.
told you to
All
go.
right.
But
We're gonna
anyway,
move on. We're gonna move on.
be obedient is the be obedient. I'm telling y'all.
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all. If you show up, God will show out every time.
Yeah. I can second.
Every time. He don't God don't miss a beat. If you show up, what you said, when you give him that yes, and
Yeah.
that's a sincere yes, and you work that yes, he gonna make sure you get everything you need.
Yeah.
And so Shanteria gave me a yes on tonight, y'all. Listen, I am not going to give y'all too much, but my sister is still pushing through on tonight. And so it is a blessing to have her in the chat box with me. This is every first and third Mondays at exactly 7:45 p.m. It is Let's Talk Business with myself in the chat box. And Shanteria, so as we wrap up on tonight, you mentioned about the multiple businesses that God has blessed you with, that God has allowed you to birth. But if there was somebody watching, or if somebody comes back and watch, y'all have to excuse me, I'm rubbing my eyes because all of a sudden I guess, I don't know. I don't even know. They're just starting to burn. Like, what? I'm gonna start talking like this with my eyes closed. Maybe it's the ring light, but I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't even stop rubbing my eyes. But anyway, um, and so if there's somebody watching right now, or if there's somebody that will come back and watch because God has allowed this platform to be live on YouTube as well right now. And so we just never know who's going to be watching on tonight. If there's somebody sitting on a business that they are pondering to start, or they started and they stopped because in the beginning they didn't get the results that they thought were going to happen, what advice would you or could you give them on tonight?
Um, I would definitely say push through. And when I say that, if it's something that you know, a business that you need to start, and we have to remember that we're in a time where, you know, multiple people are doing the same thing. Don't get discouraged when you see someone else doing, you know, the same thing as you. It's a cliche, but you know, we see the little thing about all the different bread brands and things like that. Just go and stay consistent to what you're doing. Stay in your lane. We talked about that, and then just know your worth, know what you're doing, and you know, I would say follow through with it. But you do have to be consistent in what it is that you're doing. Don't give up, because that's part of being an entrepreneur. They don't teach that part. Everybody make it look good, but it has its ups and its downs, and I don't really think the downs are downs. In my downtime, I use that to work on something else or ways to do better. So I would definitely say consistency and drive, and a strong team.
You know what? I love it because that consistency will change your world.
Listen,
It will change your world.
yeah, I would
A
definitely.
lot of people ask, how do you keep doing what how do you get the people to come or do, because I've been consistent
Yeah.
for a long time. And don't get me wrong, even in the ups and the downs, guys, you still have to be consistent. We
Uh-huh.
can't stop because of emotion. Because you know what? A lot of times people will stop because of emotion, and then we talking about God want me to take a break. God want me to take a break. Them your emotions got you all up in. Okay, anyway, that's enough. I'm just because I see people do it.
Yeah, yeah, and
I'm like,
they throw it on God. They do, they
it's
do.
an emotional trip that you're on. And I'm not saying don't take a break so you can get yourself emotionally together.
Right.
But what I'm saying is don't make it seem like that's God's doing. And it's not. I see, oh, I'm taking a hiatus on social media because, and then you back on there 2 weeks later. I'm like, well, what? You could have just stayed on there for all that. Like, and so oh, somebody said, you talking to me. I'm sorry. I'm just, but I'm just saying, like, it don't let your emotions be the reason you stop.
Yeah,
Because
because
I
they
am a
change.
right, because I'm a living witness that I had to still stay consistent through my emotions.
Yeah,
I had to still stay consistent through the things that I was going through. I didn't let my what was going on around me dictate what I had going on in my business. Because I would never forget the day that my dad died. My mom was like, you can't what? No, 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 no. I had a royalty meeting the next day.
wow.
And I was going to cancel it. And my mom was like, absolutely not. Because one, that ain't gonna bring him back. And two, like you say, your yes is your yes and your nay. So when you have already said,
Yeah,
you gotta go.
yeah,
Like you have to be able to control these emotions that we have, especially when you are serving God's people.
yeah,
He'll give you a time to grieve. He'll give you a time to work on those emotions. But don't blame a lot of. We do a lot of the blame game. Oh, I no, no, no. The reason you stopped was because you weren't seeing the results you wanted to see at that moment. Okay, anyway. So yes, so thank you for joining me tonight.
you think we go? Okay, yeah,
Thank you so much for joining me on
you're
tonight.
very welcome, ma'am.
I'm just saying because anyway. So yes, I have the amazing Miss Shanteria Moment in the chat box with me.
You
I have
can't do the thing trying to throw.
listen because I will go and then me and you will have this whole conversation and probably forget we live. And I know you
Yeah,
got somewhere to be, and so we just gonna keep that like that. But y'all heard her. Stay consistent.
yeah,
Stay consistent. Stay consistent in what you do. Things may change and be up and down and go left and to the right, but you got to be consistent because one thing we know about the God that we serve, he is consistent with who he is. He is consistent of what he delivers. And so it is up to us to make sure I'm telling y'all, if we show up, he'll show out. I'm a living witness. You wondering why? You wondering why some things? You wondering? You look at people and you wondering why they able to get the things that they are getting. It is because they have been consistent with serving God. They have been consistent with the assignment God has given them. And so when you understand your assignment, your emotions have to cease.
They have to obey.
They're gonna have to line up. He'll give you time to go home and cry. I promise you he will. I'm a living witness to it. He will. I don't know, God. And then when it's time, and it's not that you being fake or phony or anything else, but God knows what he needs you to do for the people. And so he'll give you a time to do all of that.
Yeah.
But you don't have that much time to do it because you have an assignment on your life and you have to understand that assignment. Amen. And so we have the amazing Miss Shanteria Moment. Y'all make sure y'all connect with her. Shanteria, if you had to leave the audience with one thing on tonight, what would it be?
Know who you are, know who you are.
Y'all heard it. Who and whose?
Yes.
If y'all just watch, if y'all just coming on, I promise y'all hit the replay. But if y'all missed anything and y'all just chimed in right now, she's what was it? Know whose you are and who you are. Yep. And who you are. How can they connect on social media? How can they find out what's going on? Right.
You see, I'm trying to get it together. So Facebook is Shanteria Moment, and then Facebook as well for the event planning page is Elegant and Eventful Moments. The hair page is Shanteria the Stylist. The personal styling is Beyond Fashion and Co. And then the mentorship is Masterpiece Academy. And then on Instagram, personal is Shanteria K. And then everything else is the same. Elegant and Eventful Moments on Instagram, Shanteria the Stylist on Instagram, Beyond Fashion and Co. on Instagram as well, and Masterpiece Academy on Instagram.
I hope y'all got all of that. If y'all, it would be
Good look, it's coming all up in there.
I thought I was running a lot of pages. I think me and you run about the same number of pages. So
great for me, okay. I was going down. I'm like, oh wait, I gotta renew all this stuff. Wait a minute, we gotta start doing this.
Who you telling? I'm over here. I'm like 3 in. I'm like. Yeah. So I got to do royalty. I got to do Jabrina Speaks, and I got to do She Connects Inc.
Yeah.
Okay, Lord. Well, if that's the assignments, because I know those assignments you gave me.
He's providing. So let's just go ahead and get it done.
In Jesus' name. Amen. My cash app is Jabrina. Y'all can do it. The She Connects Inc. or royalty.
Look. If you want to help us out,
but God is a provider.
Amen.
He's definitely a provider. Listen, we appreciate y'all for joining us on tonight. Again, Shanteria, I am so grateful that you were in the building with me, in the chat box with me on tonight. I'm forever grateful for our connection. I cannot wait until we go to the next level with each other. I know God has a reason he has allowed us to physically connect, even though he started lighting the fire a few years ago. But he made sure that we are going to get what we need. And so it's a blessing to have you. It's a blessing to have you really in my phone, not just on social media.
Yes, right.
Not just on social media. Listen, everybody, join me. This is the third Monday. The first Monday in April. We're back in the chat box every first and third Monday at exactly 7:45 p.m. It is a Let's Talk Business with myself. I'm your host, Jabrina Speaks. And tonight we have the amazing Miss Shanteria Moment. Again, connect with her some way, somehow, through any of her social media platform. It's so many amazing people that have watched us on tonight. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen watching, we appreciate you for joining us. We want you to have an amazing rest of the week. We love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And so have an amazing day. We love you. Good night, everybody. Good night.